It's Afterburner time. That's all I got. 4-1, the Calgary Flames lose to the Seattle Kraken. On this Saturday, April the 11th, it was a real tough one to watch. If you were a fan of Calgary, Seattle, entertainment, hockey, or really anything under the sun, because this game did not offer much beyond occasional salmon throwing during the 3 stars. Bobby Germany alongside Mike Gould here with you on this post-game show, brought to you by Bet365. Hockey fans, check out Bet365's 3-goal early payout. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. It must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. And while you're hanging around, feel free to jump in with a super chat. Proceeds from the super chat go to the Youth Centers of Calgary. It is a place where kids are welcomed and accepted as they are, a place where they can get a break from the chronic stress that is the reality for many of their lives, and where they can flourish through connections and fun. Robert, the Calgary Flames, a lot of their fans today were, I don't necessarily know if schadenfreude is the right word, but they were rooting for the Flames to perhaps lose this game, to entrench themselves in 30th place in the National Hockey League and not put themselves any further at risk of surpassing Seattle in the NHL standings. And now here we are with everything said and done. Both these teams have 3 games left, and the Calgary Flames 6 points back of the Kraken.
I'm not going to lie. When the Seattle Kraken scored tonight, I gave some pretty big fist bumps. And normally I don't do that, but tonight I was just fired up to see the Kraken beating the Flames. Because that's the last thing you wanted to see, right? Is the Flames cut that gap to 2 points in the standings between them and Seattle, but now it's 6. Like you said, 3 games remaining, so we don't really have to worry about the Seattle Kraken anymore. And basically from here on out, the Flames, I think the best they could finish is about 29th, which would give them at worst the 6th overall pick, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but you'd still like to see them fall back at least maybe one more spot to 30th.
The Flames, as we said, are virtually guaranteed to finish at highest 29th in the NHL. There is an infinitesimal possibility of the Kraken losing out and the Flames winning out and the Flames surpassing them on a tiebreaker. It is an extremely small possibility. The Flames have 25 regulation wins. Seattle has 26. So if we see that very unlikely scenario to occur, then we could see the Flames finish as high as 28th. It does not seem likely. It is impossible now, after today, for the Flames to catch St. Louis. It is impossible now for them to catch San Jose. Those 2 teams are completely out of their purview. So too are the Florida Panthers out east. The Toronto Maple Leafs still technically within reach for the Calgary Flames. They are 5 points up of the Flames. And then probably the most relevant team, Robert, is the New York Rangers, who lost today to the Dallas Stars. It looked like they might have a chance of getting a point. They did not. With 2 games remaining in their 25-26 season, the Rangers now at now at 75 games. Good Lord. 75 points in 80 games. The Flames at 73 in 79. And Bobby, the Rangers don't hold any tiebreakers on the Flames. So the Rangers really the only team now that the Flames have to keep their eyes on. But at minimum, it does feel like the Flames will be guaranteed to make at least a top 6 pick, which seems to be their lucky number, doesn't it? They've made so many 6th overall picks. They've made a 4th overall pick. They always seem to be right outside of getting onto the podium, whether it's top 3 or top 5. But for now, a top 6 does feel guaranteed.
Then they've done some good work at that pick in modern Flames history with Sean Monahan and Matthew Tkachuk, 2 outstanding picks at number 6 overall. And I think like the top 7 or 8 in this year's draft looks to be really good. Like I think you can get really good NHL players within that area. So I'm okay with that. Obviously you want to be probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but if they even get 6, I still think like a Caleb Malhotra kind of guy. Keaton Verhoff might slip. I think you get that type of player at that spot, which I think would be a really good thing for this franchise.
The nice thing about the name Carson Karls is it's easy to chant. Carson Karls. You can just do the whole thing. The Flames have picked 6th overall 5 times, Robert. They picked Tkachuk and Monahan, as you mentioned. They picked Corey Stillman, decent pick. They traded him for Craig Conroy. The other two, I mean, I've chatted with Rico Fata, very nice guy. I think he owns a number of Wendy's or Tim Hortons franchises. Good for him.
Good for him.
And Danny Tkachuk, I believe is a coach at this point now, was looking like he might turn into an NHLer, but sustained a number of injuries. So the Flames, I would say, have gone 3 for 5 at number 6 in their history, and maybe this will be the 6th year of 6. But in all likelihood, Bobby, we may see the Flames get a second top 5 pick in their history. As it stands, if they do end up finishing 30th, they'll have roughly a 30% chance of picking in the top 3 for the first time in their history, and a 70% chance of picking either 4 or 5. So we'll see exactly how it all plays out. And of course, the other relevant game today for the Calgary Flames and their draft aspirations pertains to Colorado and Vegas, which is currently in progress at the second intermission with the Avalanche and Golden Knights tied at 2. The Oilers lost today, 1-0 to the LA Kings, and the Anaheim Ducks are inactive, one of only 2 teams not playing today. So if Vegas loses this game, it's big. If they win this game, they move into first in the Pacific, which is a real bad outcome for the Calgary Flames with their second first-round pick. So lots to keep an eye on.
A couple things I'll say just about why I'm not worried about the Flames moving up in the standings is you take a look at their next 3 games. It's Utah, and they struggle against Utah. They just do not match up well against them. It's Colorado, and it's LA. And that game for LA might be incredibly meaningful. That might be a win and you're in type of game. So they're playing 3 tough opponents. And you take a look at the roster right now. This might be the worst roster I've seen the Flames put on the ice in, since I've become like a really big fan. Let's call it since the 05 lockout. I mean, the roster tonight was awful. I mean, you got 4 rookies on defense. And I'm going to say this is a good thing because this is what the Flames should be doing. They should be icing rosters like this at this point in time. But you take a look at the forward group. I mean, it's so lackluster. And the defense, you got 4 rookies, like I said. You got Oli Mata, who's been playing well, couldn't even get in the lineup in Utah. You got Zach Whitecloud, who's playing on a third pair in Vegas. Like, this team is brutal on paper right now, which, once again, is a good thing. So I'm not too worried about the next 3 games here for the Calgary Flames. You just look at that. Sharon Govich having a rotten year. Although he could quietly be close to a 20-goal scorer. Like you've mentioned before a bunch of times, Mike. He's had goals called back. He's had posts. It's been ridiculous. He could be hovering around 20, but like Backlund, Coronado not having Backlund's having a good year for himself, but just up and down the lineup. Like, there's no difference makers. There's barely any 20-goal scorers. I'm not worried about this team winning a couple games down the stretch here.
I don't even think these guys are necessarily having rotten years per se. I just think they are all what they are. And they are all having years that are sort of in line with expectations. I mean, you look at Blake Coleman and you're like, yeah, that's a 30 to 40 point winger. You look at Sharon Govich, that's a 15 to 20 goal scorer. Farabee, that's about a 20 goal scorer if he has a decent year. Frost has 21 goals. I mean, all these guys are performing basically in line with where I had them coming into this year. The difference now is that the Flames have traded their top guys, and so there are certain guys who are now by default elevated. And also, I mean, it's funny because we're pointing this out today. We could have easily pointed this out in the last game, and it would have been even more glaring with no Dylan or no Ryan Strome, no Blake Coleman. So this is actually even a slightly more souped up version of what we have seen at times on this road trip. But I agree with you. It is a lacking Flames team that is really quite populated with players who would be more of bit pieces on actually contending teams. But then again, that's why they're in 30th place in the NHL. And I still see a number of pieces here that the Flames could be able to salvage some value from at some point, which I will say that is one area where they kind of differ from another team that you were going to point out, which was the 2017-18 edition of these Calgary Flames, where they may have had some more stars, I suppose. I mean, you have Johnny Gaudreau. At that point, Sean Monahan is hurt. Matthew Tkachuk is out. I mean, this lineup is horrendous. Even Chris Stewart,
terrible.
Even Chris Stewart isn't playing. I mean, this lineup couldn't make a spot for Chris Stewart.
Look at that top line though: Gaudreau, Shore, and Foo.
Yeah,
come on, that can't be real. That could not have been a real line.
But here's the thing. Here's my point here, Bobby, is that you look at the Flames lineup today, and you see guys there like Blake Coleman and Strome and maybe Farabee or Frost, guys who, if the Flames decided to trade them maybe within the next year, they could get decent value for, a smattering of draft picks or what have you. If you look at this roster that is on your screen right now, they either let all of these guys walk They didn't want to re-sign them. They bought him out. They only traded 2 of the guys on this team, or I guess 3, Frolik, Bennett, and Ferland. And they got a combined total of a 2nd and a 4th round pick from everybody in this forward group. Now, they were in a very different spot at the time, but you look at this group, and I mean, obviously you have Johnny, and he was a very valuable player. They lost him for nothing, but still, they could have traded him for whatever they wanted at this point. How many guys on this roster at this point in 2018 would you have said had positive value?
3, maybe 4 of them.
4
and the only guy they really
so
cashed
generous
in on was Ferland.
Yeah.
Ferland was part of that Lindholm and Hanifin trade, which was easily Brad Treliving's best move as a general manager. That's the only guy he ever really cashed in on. And from an asset management standpoint, it's the only guy that he ever did anything with. Like you said, all the other ones, either they walked for nothing or they got no value. It's embarrassing.
Well, I mean, this is a hilarious forward group. I look at this, compare it to today, and the Flames are a much worse team today. They actually have a 1st-round pick this year. This team didn't have a 1st-round pick. They didn't pick until the 4th round, until the draft, in the draft right after this. But you look at this. They kept Backlund forever, obviously. They waited on Frolik. They only got a 4th rounder for him. Brouwer, I mean, you want to talk about buyout candidates. He has 6 goals this season. 6. He's basically the Sharangovich equivalent. Igor's got 15, and Brouwer had 6. Fu played in 2 NHL games, I want to say. 4 NHL games. Nick Shore, they let go for nothing the immediate following summer after they gave up a 7th for him. They lost Curtis Lazar for nothing after they gave up a 2nd for him. Matt Stajan retired immediately after this year. I don't think Tanner Glass ever played in the NHL again. And Garnet Hathaway left for nothing. And Sam Bennett, I guess. But what a horrible looking roster that is. And even the 3 guys up top, they didn't trade either. So, I mean, look at that. Holy smokes.
It just shows you what a terrible general manager Brad Treliving was. And another little note on top of this, just to make it even worse, they buy out Troy Brouwer after this season. And one of the reasons why they couldn't extend Matthew Tkachuk on a longer-term contract is because they had so much money tied up in Brouwer's buyout and Stone's buyout, and they still had Frolik on the books, and then they had Lucic on the books.
Well,
and
partially
they weren't able to re-sign Matthew Tkachuk because of that, because there's so much wasted dead cap on that roster. So once again, it's just a horrible job by Brad Treliving. He did a terrible job in Toronto. I don't know why he got hired there. All you had to do is just look at what he did in Calgary, and you'd realize that you don't want this guy touching your hockey team, let alone a Boston pizza franchise or something like that. But oh man, yeah, that was just a mess. just an ugly time to be a Flames fan.
They bought out Brouwer, which is one of the few times where a buyout actually made sense. I find buyouts typically are wastes of time, and especially in the current NHL where there's way more cap flexibility. At the time, there wasn't so much. Flames buy out Brouwer. They created some space that they could have used to sign Matthew Tkachuk, but they gave it all away to James Neal right away.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
So you want to talk about you want to talk about just a total 180 as far as asset management is concerned. That is very apparent on this current Flames roster.
I was just going to say, after the trade deadline, I remember saying on Twitter that the best thing to happen to this Calgary Flames team was Brad Treliving walking away. And Don Maloney and John Bean, they desperately wanted Tree back. They were crying at that press conference. They were literally shedding tears.
Yeah.
It was so embarrassing. But the best thing to happen to them was Tree leaving this organization and Conroy taking over, because Conroy's done a remarkable job so far. I think he's done an A+ level work so far, and Treliving just destroyed the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's going to put them back probably 8 to 10 years here. So thank God Craig Conroy is the general manager in Calgary right now.
I don't know, Bobby. I mean, if we saw anything with the Boston Bruins clinching a playoff spot today, you can build a contending team around Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov.
Stop it.
Yeah. Hey, it just helps if you have David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy, which the Calgary Flames don't. The Flames did play in a hockey game today, Bobby, and they did score a goal. They did. They scored a goal, and it was from our buddy Hunter Brzustewicz, who has occupied too many of our airwaves recently for reasons not really related to him at the 1:11 mark of the second period.
Yeah, it was a great shot. There wasn't a lot of space there for Hunter to work with, and yeah, he just ripped it right over the shoulder of Nike Coco, one of the best names in the NHL.
Nicky Coco.
I've really liked Brzustewicz basically since the Olympic break. I think he's looked rock solid. I think his brain is his superpower, and I think he's a great playmaker, and he's got great vision. He sees the ice well. I mean, I'd like to see him get a little bit quicker. I do find he's not the best skater right now, but that's something that you can definitely work on. But, for a guy playing in his rookie season as a 21, 22-year-old, I think he looks really solid. So, yeah, hopefully he can keep that going into next season.
I think he's a really good player. I am disappointed with some of the reactions to some of the things that we've put out there, that we have tried to say that Hunter Brzustewicz is as good as certain other prospects, and that has been interpreted as a shot against other prospects instead of what it is, which is trying to elevate Hunter Brzustewicz, who I think is on par with some of these other prospects who are good. I am saying that. And I think
what prospects are you talking about, Mike?
Well,
what organization are you talking about?
Let me just sort of leave it there. It rhymes with a bomb Belander. But yeah, it's really cool to see a guy like Brzustewicz starting to truly excel as a young defenseman in the NHL. It is a tough circumstance for him. It reminds me a lot of when TJ Brodie was first cutting his teeth in the NHL as a young defenseman on those Brent Sutter Calgary Flames. Brzustewicz doesn't have the luxury of being paired with Mark Giordano. And he is maybe not as good as TJ Brodie was at this point because of that, but he is, I think, a very special young player. And I think he has all the potential to be, an excellent second pair power play 2 defenseman for this Calgary Flames team for quite some time.
Yeah, I agree. And the things that you really can't teach in hockey are your smarts, your hockey IQ, your vision. Those are things, I mean, I don't really think you can really develop them to a certain extent, but the things that you can work on, like shooting and skating, those are the things he does need to work on. And I'm confident over the next off season 2 or 3 here that he's really going to work on that. And once he does become better at those skills to go along with his hockey IQ, I think the Flames have a legit top 4 defenseman on their hands here for a while.
Speaking of number 4, I am hoping we see Hunter Brzustewicz switch to that number after this season. I think he would look great in Rasmus Andersson's old digit, I should say, especially considering we saw number 52 taken already by a certain Abram Wiebe, who made his NHL debut tonight for the Calgary Flames after signing out of the University of North Dakota. The first thing, before we even get into the play of Wiebe tonight, which was a little spotty, but maybe as you might expect, interesting to me that the Flames evidently did not allow Wiebe to keep his number from Nodak, where he wore number 25. And that is a little bit of a change of pace from the Calgary Flames, who have historically had no problem giving out number 25. They've done it for many different players. Jacob Markstrom, of course, most recently, but before that, the likes of Brandon Bollig and Freddie Hamilton and a number of others who escape my mind at the present moment. That is in stark difference or stark disparity with their treatment of number 2, which has been off limits despite being included in the same Forever a Flame category ever since Al MacInnis retired as a player in 2004. They issued it a few times, Jamie Allison, Mike Commodore, but once MacInnis retired as a player after the lockout, they never gave it away again. That has not been the same with 25, which is honored for Joe Nieuwendyk, but has been allowed to be used. Now it seems like maybe not anymore. And that's twice now this season where an odder number has not been given out, where a player who has worn one of them, we saw Zach Whitecloud, who wore number 2 in Vegas, come over. He had to switch to 28. We've now seen Wiebe sign, switch to 52. Bobby, my suspicion, and this is all just spidey senses, this is not based on anything, but I think next year we're going to see the Flames retire a couple of numbers, and we're going to see them rectify an error in branding with the Forever a Flame program, and convert those numbers over to full-fledged off-limits status. Curious to hear your thoughts on that, because there's a lot of ways that the Flames can sort of send out the Saddledome after 43, 44 years, and I think that's one of the ways they could do it.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, my personal thoughts on Forever Flame are that the idea of the program makes sense. It's almost just like a secondary honorary system for the guys that aren't quite good enough to get their number retired. I look at guys like, Daryl Sutter could be in a Forever Flame, or Robin Regeer, those types of players, Michael Backlund when he retires. But I just think the execution of it was extremely poor by the Flames. I mean, first of all, they chose the 2 wrong players to put in there. MacInnis and Nieuwendyk should have had their numbers retired right away, not a Forever a Flame. So they kind of screwed up there.
50-goal score.
Yeah, best defenseman in franchise history, best center in franchise history. It makes no sense. So I like the idea behind it, and I hope they do have some sort of secondary honorary system so you can honor the guys like I had mentioned before. But yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea by you to retire those numbers in the last year of the Saddle Dome. I think that's awesome. And one more, like another odd thing about their honoring, former players and all that kind of stuff. Ever since Theo Fleury retired, 14 has never been given out either. He's not a forever Flame. His jersey is not retired. Why they can't use 14 doesn't make sense to me. Either retire the number or honor it in some regard, or start giving it out to players. That one doesn't make sense to me either.
Flames have a very weird way of doing this. It has always been very weird. It just never made any sense. They have 2, which is honored, but essentially retired. 25, which is honored, but essentially not retired. And 14, which is not honored, but essentially retired. And now apparently 13, the same as you might expect. And it was the same with 12 for a while. That's been retired. 34 has been retired. My guess is that next year we are going to see a number of different things occur. And among those will probably be ceremonies, or I wouldn't even be surprised if they did like a catch-all type thing where they did. You know what? That's one way that they could do 14 is if they did them all at once. And then you don't let anybody speak. You just say, we're going to do all these at the same time and be done with it and leave it there. And I know there are a lot of back and forth opinions on Theron, and he is a curious character, and we will leave it at that.
What would you do with 13? Because I do think they should honor it or retire it.
I'd retire it tomorrow.
Yeah, but do you want to wait until Johnny's kids are old enough to see the impact that his dad had on a city? You know what I mean?
Maybe
that's one reason why you might want to delay it. But
I'm
with you. I think they should retire it. Basically,
you can never give it out again.
Yeah,
it's obvious to me. There are so many teams that have done similar things. The Canucks stopped issuing Luc Bourdon's number forever. The Penguins did it with Michel Briere. There are so many honorary type things like that. They will never issue 13 again, and I'm quite sure of that. And obviously there's going to be jersey things happening next year as well. Don't know how much is out there, but expect 2 new ones. All right, I'm
wondering though, next year's, it's going to be a rough year in Calgary on the ice.
Yeah, you got to sell as many jerseys. Probably going to be some
nights. There's probably going to be some nights where it's going to be hard to sell tickets. That's why I'm wondering, do they have 4 or 5 different ceremonies in terms of, jersey retirements, or just different things to do with the last year at the Saddle Dome to kind of try to fill the building a little bit? I wonder what they have in store for that.
Yeah, I think there'll be some 04 stuff that happens. I think there'll be a number of different ceremonies. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a real special year, even if the Flames aren't so good. And that's basically all I got about that. Bobby, the Flames, they did give up 4 goals tonight. Any of them in particular that you want to talk about? I mean, Freddie Gaudreau, Chandler Stevenson, Matty Beniers, Jordan Eberle. I don't know, Bobby. They scored some goals. Devin Cooley allowed 3 against on 26 shots. Tough really to pin any of them on him.
Yeah, I got to say, this was probably the most lifeless, pathetic hockey game I've watched all year. It was a complete no-hitter. It felt like Backlund and Eberle met during warm-ups and were like, hey, if you don't hit us, we're not going to hit you kind of thing. We're both way out of it. Let's just kind of walk this one in. And, the game in general was just terrible. And, I don't even need to see the goals. I don't even need to talk about the goals against.
Good stuff, because we're not going to. 4-1 the final score in the Flames versus Seattle game tonight. We do want to talk a little bit about the NCAA. The Frozen Four finishes today, and it was a 2-1 final score in favor of Denver, who, I'll be honest, Bobby, out of the 4 teams that made the Final Four, Denver was maybe the one that I least expected to win. I'm genuinely shocked that we saw Denver win these 2 games. They beat Michigan 4-3 in double overtime. Then we saw them beat Wisconsin today 2-1, despite being pretty heavily outshot. Johnny Hicks, the goaltender for Denver, was incredible. He made 29 saves. His counterpart, Daniel Hauser, only had to make 13. It was extremely one-sided. And yet, in the end, it was goals from Kyle Chizowski and Rieger Lorenz that helped Denver win this thing. And really, I mean, a great sort of testament to sort of the golden era of AJHL, BCHL hockey for this Denver team. A couple of guys. I mean, we Talked about Hicks, who played for the Brooks Bandits, was their goaltender, ends up last year. This is an amazing story. Last year with Brooks, he's 18-3-0, 943 save percentage, leaves mid-year to go to Victoria, play for the Royals. Bit of a spat, bit of a dispute between him. It was not the most, let's just say it was not the most painless breakup, to the point where I believe Johnny Hicks may have had his gear kept by Brooks for a bit. And then he goes to Victoria, goes 10-4-1 with a 909, ends up stealing the starter's job for the playoffs, plays in 8 games, goes 5-0-1 in the playoffs with a 939 as a 5'10", 160-pound goalie in the WHL. This year at Denver, steals the starting job again away from Quentin Miller and goes 15-0-1 with a 957 save percentage in 20 games with Denver.
Unreal.
I mean, that is stupid. That is absolutely stupid. I don't even know if that factors in the game today. So Johnny Hicks, good to see that. And then this is something, Bobby. We saw Riegel Lorenz. He played for the Okotoks Oilers for a couple of years when I was there. And he was a pretty good young player, had a big year in his draft year, ended up going to Minnesota at 56 overall in the second round. Lorenz, 34 points in 42 games with Denver this year. This is one that I want some folks to keep an eye on because this was his 4th year in Denver. And I don't know if we're going to see Minnesota sign him. And so he's a Calgary kid, 6'3" left wing, who just had 16 goals at Denver this year. And if Riegel Lorenz does become a free agent this summer on August the 15th, I would expect the Calgary Flames to be in the mix. So Riegel Lorenz, a big winger from Calgary, played in Okotoks, goes to Denver, plays there for David Carl, wins a national championship, and playing with Eric Jameson for Denver. And my guess is that if Minnesota does not sign Riegel Lorenz, the Flames might pick him up to play for the Wranglers next year. So some interesting stuff coming out of the NCAA here today. Anything you got to add to that,
and speaking of David Carl, I mean, he might be like the most successful coach in modern NCAA history. He's now up to 3 national championships, 2022, 2024 this year. He's won 2 gold medals with the U.S. World Junior team in 24 and 25. He's 36 years old. I got to think that he's going to get an NHL job here soon. I don't know if he wants it because it's a cushy gig that he's got in Denver. But at the same time, I mean, just when it comes to the money and prestige of being in the NHL, I mean, that's got to be pretty alluring for the guy. But I mean, just a fantastic resume he's building. It's pretty unbelievable.
Matt Carl's little brother. It's I only just put that connection together. Always love seeing some Anchorage natives do well in the NHL and NCAA spheres. So there we go. Some big stuff today out of the NCAA, and with Denver winning the Natty. Again, against all the odds. I would have had them, I think, 4th out of 4. I would have had Wisconsin ahead of them. I would have had Michigan way ahead of them. I thought Michigan was going to beat them in the semis, and I thought Nodak had a better chance. And then Michigan, Nodak, both eliminated in the semis, which surprised a lot of people. And we did see TJ Hughes, speaking of former Brooks Bandits, sign with the Colorado Avalanche today as well. The Hobey Baker finalist goes to Colorado. Will finish the year with the Eagles in the AHL before joining the Avs perhaps next season. That's big stuff out of the NCAA. We also just want to tell you a little bit about your Prairie Toyota dealers. If you're looking to dominate off the ice as much as your team does on it, check out the Toyota Tacoma. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it is the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days from March through May. It is still 2-2, Vegas and Colorado, midway through the third period of their game at Ball Arena. Bobby, big stuff coming out of the NHL standings today. Obviously, the Flames, Seattle, that's a big thing on its own. But we did see some movement in the Eastern Conference and a couple of teams clinching. I believe the entire Eastern Conference field, save for the third Metropolitan Division spot, is now all done. And a couple of teams that are in, the Ottawa Senators, for the second year in a row, and the Boston Bruins, going from a bottom 5 finish last year, which got them James Higgins, to being in the playoffs at the expense of the Detroit Red Wings, eliminated for the 11th straight season. Bobby, what do you make of all this?
Well, number one, I'm happy for Ottawa. Heading into the year, I thought Ottawa on paper was pretty stacked, and had they got a save this year, they would have easily been right up there with Buffalo, Montreal, and Tampa, fighting for first in the Atlantic Division. So I'm really happy for them. I hope Brady Tkachuk's okay. I don't know if everybody saw what happened to him today. It was a bizarre, like, little collision at the bench, and he really struggled to get back there, and he left the game. So for Ottawa's sake, I hope he's back in the lineup because he's the engine of that team, him and Jake Sanderson. And, Boston last year, I think it was just one of those years where just everything went wrong. They had a million injuries. They were way better than being, fifth or sixth from the bottom last year. I think it was kind of inevitable that they were going to get back into the mix and probably be a playoff team. And they got the good goaltending. They got an incredible season from Pasternak, McAvoy. They got some depth from guys like Fraser Minton. So I like them. And Detroit, what a mess. I would fire Steve Yzerman. I would absolutely fire Steve Yzerman. I would move on from him. That team is so mediocre. They haven't really pushed their ships in the middle. They haven't really done anything bold. They signed a 36, 37-year-old Patrick Kane. Like, that's their big move. Like, come on, you gotta be better than that. So I don't feel bad for Red Wings fans because they had such a long run there of success, 25 straight years in the playoffs. But at the same time, 10 years in a row is a long time not to be in the playoffs. So, but number one, first and foremost, I'm happy for the Senators. I'm on the Senators bandwagon in this playoff year.
My buddy Ryan Shank is going to be really happy that the Senators made the playoffs. Patrick Kane, what is it now? This is 11 straight years without winning a single playoff series for the man once called Showtime. I propose they rephrase it and call him Tea Time. That is all I've got for the Detroit Red Wings. I hope you get rid of him so you can actually become a good team again. Ottawa and Boston, boy, Bobby, maybe we get to see Elias Lindholm back in the playoffs. What do you
can't wait?
How about it? Lindholm, he had a pretty good playoff with Vancouver a couple of years ago. He's not there anymore. And I will say Matt Vigridden and Hunter Brzustewicz very much still here. But hey, you gotta admire a player finally finding a role, seemingly in Boston, playing on David Pasternak's line. Pasternak's got 99 points this year, Bobby.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
And Lindholm's got 48. But it's still impressive in its own way. Kind of cool to see Victor Arvidsson sort of salvage his career as well, going to Boston, scoring 24 goals this year. Arvidsson has 53 points. That is almost twice as many as he had with the Oilers last season, where he only had 27. So good to see him finding his niche, and the Boston Bruins clinching a spot. That last Metro spot is still up for grabs. It is Philadelphia in that spot right now, which is kind of wild.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible.
Columbus 2 points back. The New York Islanders, Bobby, what is going on there? Matthew Schaefer had such a great start to the year, and he's still playing so well, but they fired Patrick Waugh, and now Pete DeBoer. I don't know if he'll be able to get it done. I think the only team that really has a shot here is Columbus.
I think with the Islanders, they were carried by Ilya Sorokin this year. Had the Islanders made the playoffs, I would have had Sorokin on my ballot in terms of the Hart Trophy. Like, I think he's that important to them. And when he's not playing at just a ridiculous level, that team tends to lose games. So it might just be as simple as the goaltending hasn't been quite up to par there. And that whole race there in the Metro is just a turtle derby. Those are three not very good teams. I honestly have no idea how Philly's doing it. Like, I think it's kind of on the back of Dan Vladar and Rick Tocchet. Tocchet, he's the kind of coach that he can get a lot out of a very, not so talented team. So that might be playing a role there in Columbus. I hope Columbus is the team that ends up making it. Just after what happened with Johnny and, Sean Monahan's there, I'd love to see him have some success. And they can play a pretty fun, upbeat, entertaining brand of hockey. And like a guy like Kirill Marchenko is one of the most underrated players in the league. That guy is phenomenal. So I'm hoping Columbus is the team that can get in there.
I will say I have seen a number of Blue Jackets fans who are not all that satisfied with Sean Monahan right now. Only has 36 points this year. He had 57 last year. He has kind of had a bit of a backward slide and has been playing on their fourth line of late.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if there's maybe an opportunity for the Flames there to do a contract for contract swap with some of their bigger contracts. I think he and Igor have the same number of years, but it's just something to consider. Lots of different ways for the Flames to maneuver this summer. I don't know how the Blue Jackets are gonna fare here. They were so hot under Rick Bowness. They're 3-6-1 now in their last 10. It's sort of tapered off a little bit after that hot start. Your assessment of it being a turtle derby is kind of spot on. I think no matter what, Paul Maurice sort of, I think, had the quote today. He thinks there's only 5 teams this year that have a legit shot at winning. And I don't know what those 5 teams are, but I feel the same way. I feel like more than half of this playoff field is going to be kind of unserious. It's a real concentrated top end this season, with a lot of teams underperforming and not even making it at all, and a number of teams that, just sort of feel like they're there by default. So exciting stuff.
Does it surprise you to see Monahan struggling a little bit? Because for me, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Columbus is a weird situation. I don't think he's playing as much with Marchenko. I think ultimately he is kind of what he is. I think he's a good player who needs to be used in a very specific way, and with fast guys who can drive play, and he just sort of cleans it up. Yeah. Would love to see him come back to Calgary one day. I think it would be super cool, and I think if there's an opportunity to do a contract for contract thing, because Columbus could honestly use a little bit more help on the wings as it is. They could use maybe another power play threat. And right now, I think Monahan has sort of been bumped out of that position entirely. I mean, they've got Fantilli finally playing on line 1. They've got Charlie Coyle now sort of filling the Monahan role and having a career phenomenal year. And so I really wonder.
Jenner there too. Like, it's tough for Monahan to move up in that lineup right now.
I've been thinking about that, the idea of that swap for a bit, of a Sharangovich-Monahan swap, because I do think it maybe would give both teams a little bit of something different. The Flames could maybe use another center and to open up a little bit of space on the wings, and Columbus could maybe use another shooter. I think there's a little bit of merit, and you look at it. I mean, Igor's got 15 goals this year. Sean's got 13. Sean's maybe got a little bit more, a few more assists, and he's been on the power play a little bit more, but they make about the same amount of money. And Igor's a little bit younger. I could see it making a little bit of sense.
Yeah, and they're going to need veteran centers down the road here, because Michael Backlund's probably going to retire within the next couple of years. Ryan Strome's not going to be here very long. All of a sudden, and you don't really have prospects coming to become true difference makers within the next 2 or 3 years. I still think Reshny and those types of guys, they're still a ways out. So adding a veteran like Monahan, when, say, a guy like Michael Backlund retires, and he can kind of step in that leadership role and play some defense and score some power play goals, I mean, I think it makes sense. And yeah, you get off Jaeger's contract, which I would love, because I can't stand watching him. So yeah, it'd be kind of a win-win, I guess.
We'll see. It's just an idea that's been rattling around my head for the last little while. What else is going on today, Bobby? Let's have a look at some of our notes. Was this okay? This is one that you sort of mentioned before the show. Was this year? I'll let you ask the question, Bobby. Yeah, I know you've got it all queued up.
Yeah, I mean, last season and this season were just 2 completely different years from the Calgary Flames, and depending on your perspective, you could just have like entirely different views of them. So I thought an interesting question to like throw to the chat and to throw to you is, what was more of a lost season for the Calgary Flames? Was it last year, getting to 96 points and missing out on the tiebreaker, but playing in those important games in March and April? Or was it this year, when you're completely out of it by October? I'd be curious to know like what people think. What's the more lost season of the two? I know where I stand. What about you?
I stand with you as well, Bobby. I think last year was more of a lost year. However, I do want to say I think the Flames made the most of what they did last year. I think they, being in those games was important, but also I think they got a genuine top 10 caliber talent in Reshny. I think I compare him to the players who were picked immediately ahead of him, and had the Flames been a little bit worse, had they been a little closer to where they were this year, I personally don't see a lot of difference between guys like Reshny and Roger McQueen, and Jake O'Brien and Radim Murtka. I mean, I think had the Flames been in a similar type situation, Reshny would still be one of the guys who I'd have wanted on the board. And so that being said, playoff ramifications, they mean something to certain people. It would have been cool if the Flames had made the playoffs last year, just to sort of get something out of the core of Huberdeau and Kadri, see what they could do in a series. They would have lost, but still. But it's water under the bridge. And for me, this year doesn't even count as a lost season. This year is a season where the Flames have learned a lot. They've gained a lot. And they have, I think, developed as a franchise, as an organization. Whereas last year they were kind of running in place. And so that, for me, is the definition of a lost season.
Yeah, I look at it in the grand scheme of things. What did you accomplish last year? and they didn't accomplish anything. They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't get the top 10 pick. They stayed in the mushy middle. They didn't make any trades at the trade deadline. They brought in Frost and Farabee, but that was kind of like a bit of a lateral move. It wasn't really for the future, and it wasn't really necessarily like for now. It was kind of in between, if that makes sense. But this year, they finally picked a direction. They finally have said to themselves, we're tired of being in the mushy middle, and we're going in a full-on rebuild. We traded veteran players who had lots of term left on their contracts, who this team would normally view as their core pieces, which really in the grand scheme of things, they're not core pieces. And, they finally made a move, and it's probably the second time in modern Flames history they've gone down this road ever since 2012 or 2013 when they traded Jerome McGinley and Jay Bouwmeester, and then they moved on from that core. So in the grand scheme of things, I actually think they accomplished a lot more this season than they did last year. Yes, last year was fun. They had some good comebacks. They were competitive. Nazem Kadri had a big year. Dustin Wolf was fantastic. There were some fun storylines last year and some fun, entertaining hockey, but at the same time, they didn't accomplish anything. This year, they actually accomplished something, and they're finally going in the right direction, which is super nice. So I would agree with you. I'd say last year was the lost season, not this one.
Well, think about it. They give up a second for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. I would contend that both of those players could easily return you what you paid. You're playing with house money at this point on both of those players, in my opinion. And it could have been a lot worse. They could have gone all in on what they had. They could have decided that year was a step forward, re-sign Rasmus Andersson, recommit or re-engage with Nazem Kadri about playing out his contract, what have you. They could have added more pieces. They could have done similar deals to what we have seen from similar teams this year, where we saw Detroit give up an unprotected first-round pick for Justin Falk, and the Islanders give up significant assets for Braden Shen, despite being in very similar places. And now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Flames draft picks are burning a hole in their pocket a little bit. And I am cautiously optimistic about the way that they will handle that, because I do think there is a chance that we'll see some of these second rounders get moved out to facilitate quote unquote upgrades. But by the same token, I think the Flames have maneuvered this a lot better than some of their other contemporaries. So you're in a spot here where you have picked a direction. You've gotten out of this year with, generally, I would say most of your guys at least maintaining their value or building upon it. Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee are indubitably more valuable today than they were a year ago. Yeah. Matt Coronado has recaptured some of what we have seen from him in previous seasons. They traded Rasmus, they traded Kadri, they traded Uyghur, and for two of those three players, for Uyghur and Rasmus, they get players who are suddenly hot topics on the trade market for White Cloud and Mata. They have cool new reclamation projects, those two, and then Ryan Strome as well. So I am relatively optimistic. As I see it right now, the Flames have a relatively clean slate. They have a couple of young players signed to long-term deals, but they're players who you can easily, build and have be part of that. In my opinion, they have one unambiguously immovable contract in Jonathan Huberdeau, maybe a couple other questionable contracts, but nothing really out of, nothing too crazy. So you can move any of the other deals on this roster for the right return or the right player. And then, a clear path forward where I don't know if you read The Athletic, Bobby, but they have the number 3 rated prospect pool in the entire NHL. And so there's a lot to like. There's a lot of room for optimism. And this time, a year ago, they had a lot of these veterans. We didn't know how it was going to go. And they had the number 13 ranked prospect pool in the NHL. So which of those feels more like a lost season to you? I'll tell you which one I think does. And it's not this year. So, but it's a good discussion point.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, I'm 100% on your side. And quite honestly, I don't really think you could be at a better place in terms of the start of your rebuild, really, than where the Calgary Flames are right now. Like you said, the Huberdeau contract is a disaster, but you can work around that. Every team has bad contracts on the books, but with the cap going up, what seems like it's going to be exponentially over the next few years here, all of a sudden $10.5 million is kind of what $7 million was when Huberdeau signed the contract, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think Conroy's put the Flames in a remarkable position here, but now is the difficult work. Now is the time where Conroy's got to start to turn things around. Trading out veteran players and bringing back draft picks and prospects. I'm not going to say it's easy. I think Conroy had a difficult job there, and I think he did a good job. But I think the more difficult thing now is hitting home runs in the draft, continuing to make trades, continuing to use your draft picks to your advantage. It's not easy to do. And, we've seen some other rebuilds crash and fall, and we've seen some other ones really succeed. But I think now is the time where Conroy's really got to make his money and take advantage of all these assets that he has right now.
I'll just push back on a comment here in the chat. I don't think Kevin Ball and Matt Coronado have bad contracts at all, Scott.
No, I would disagree with that.
I think 31 teams would trade for Kevin Ball at his current cap hit. I think he would be a very highly sought-after player. I think Matt Coronado is going to grow into his deal just fine. And I legitimately do think that you could do a easy player-for-player swap involving Sharangovich. I think you could find a number of other distressed assets around the league and do a change of scenery deal. There's so many of them. And it's and that's the sort of thing that you might do in 2 years, but it's I think it's easy enough to do.
Kevin Ball's a legit top 4 guy.
Yeah.
And he's massive, and he's what every NHL general manager is looking for. And then Matt Coronado, just look at the guys who he's playing with right now. I mean, how do you expect the guy to score 30 goals at this point of his career when he's not playing with anybody that can truly feed him the puck right now? I still think he has 30, 35 goal potential throughout the duration of this contract. I just think he needs a little bit of help. And maybe if he plays a full year with a guy like Matt Bay-Gridden next season, maybe he can kind of get to that 30 goal level potentially.
Love it. Love the idea of that. Matt Bay-Gridden is awesome. Let's look at the road ahead, and we'll bring it to you from the fine folks over at GMC, where it is truck month right now. And if you've been waiting for the perfect time to upgrade your ride, this is it. The 2026 Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab is built to stand out and is now available at 0% financing for 72 months. It has got a 2-inch factory lift with off-road suspension and a 5.3-liter V8 engine that delivers the kind of power you actually feel when you hit the gas. And during truck month, you can get into it for your very own. Now is the time to head down to the dealership, take it for a spin, and see what the Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab can really do. Robert, the Flames have played 41 road games this year. They are done away from the Scotiabank Saddledome. They've got 3 left in their home arena. Take us through.
Yeah, you got Utah tomorrow night. It's the rare on the road back-to-back going to home, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to see that tomorrow. And then, we got the Colorado Avalanche Tuesday, and then they finish out the season Thursday night against the LA Kings. And like I said earlier, that could be a win and you're in type of game for the Kings. So the Flames could play spoiler that night, or, they could play dead and continue to lose these hockey games, which I think most Flames fans would prefer right now. But should be, we're going to see some really good players here at the Saddledome, and we could potentially see Anze Kopitar's last game of his career. It'll definitely the last game of his regular season career. We'll see if he's going to make the playoffs or not, but that's also kind of a big deal and a big milestone.
Yeah, Kopitar gave a speech today after the Kings beat the Oilers 1-0 at the Crypto.com arena. We'll see. We'll see if the Kings end up making it into that final spot in the West. Those other 2 games, I mean, Colorado's never going to be easy, no matter how many other guys they're going to be resting. And Utah, I don't know. I mean, Utah might be taking a foot off the gas pedal now that they've made the playoffs. Now that they've clinched the playoff spot, they lost to Carolina today. Both teams on a back-to-back tomorrow. So I don't know. I mean, the Flames, I guess, have more. No, neither team has more. They have equal travel. They're both traveling today. So I don't know. That might be a real sloppy game tomorrow between Calgary and Utah. Maybe like a 12-goal game or something. We'll see.
And Mackenzie Weegar returns to the Saddledome. I forgot to mention that.
Yes, he does. I don't know if he'll be playing. I don't know if he played for Utah today because he's been dealing with something nagging.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Pull that up right now. He did play. Okay, so he's back. 1854 today for Weegar and a -1. I will note, Abram Wiebe in his first game with the Flames wearing number 52. He was even. He wasn't a minus. How about that?
Not bad. It's kind of a ballsy move, too, to pick 52. I like it.
The only non-minus defenseman tonight. The other 5 were all -1, and Weebe was the only one unscathed. Boy, couldn't be me. Couldn't be a certain other number 52 for the Calgary Flames. So there you have it. That's a look at.
We should touch on his night just quickly, just because it was his first NHL game. And
I was gonna get into that in the super chats, but we can do that.
Okay. Well, let's wait. We'll wait for the super chats.
There is an Abram Wiebe super chat. We'll get to it in due time. What's that? We'll wait. Absolutely. And also, Bobby, also on the road ahead, of course, we have to keep stoking this fire because it's the draft lottery. May the 5th. And I can confirm, I don't have the details just yet, but we can confirm that there will be a Flames Nation show with a few of us on the draft lottery. So keep your dials tuned to this particular station. We'll have some draft lottery stuff, a lot of it coming up prior to and on May the 5th. That's a look at your road ahead. Again, brought to you by GMC and Truck Month. Let's get into these super chats. Proceeds from the super chats go to the Youth Centers of Calgary, and keep them coming, folks. We have 3 of them so far. The first one from Arby, who says, for $279, retire number 14 for Theo Fleury. And I will leave that where it is because we got another one coming up. But the next one, this is from Masked Man 2929, also for $279. What's the consensus on Wiebe's first game? Number 52, by the way. Go for it, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? At least this, for me, expectations were very low.
Yeah,
I mean, he's what I think he's a 7th round pick. Just coming off the NCAA Final Four, loses in heartbreaking fashion, and coming into tonight's game, I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't really have any expectations for him. I just think it's cool that he's out there and he's making his debut. I thought he struggled. I thought the pace of the game was a little much for him. I think he looked a little outmatched out there. And him and Zane Parekh, they initially started on a pair together. They played, I think it was like the 3rd shift of the game. They got hemmed in their own zone, and they turned the puck over like 2 or 3 times, and we barely saw those two out together for the rest of the game. Ryan Huska really wanted to make sure he had a veteran out there with him, so he was playing with White Cloud and he was playing with Mata quite a bit, which I actually thought was pretty smart because, that pairing of Parekh and Wiebe did not look great tonight. But yeah, just cool he made his NHL debut, but I did think he struggled out there. I thought he was overmatched.
Yeah, Flames outchanced 9-3 during Wiebe's minutes at 5-on-5, although that was not especially out of the ordinary for the team. Really only the Backlund, Coronado, Sharangovich line was above their skis as far as shots today. So that's maybe not unexpected for a kid coming off of just being in the NCAA not that long ago. We've seen similar growing pains from the likes of Tyson Gross and Idar Suniev and other young players for the Flames at this point in the season. So they don't all become Matvei Griddens overnight, as we say, or even Hunter Brzustewicz and Zane Parekh. So those guys didn't either.
It's just good for Wiebe to get in the lineup, though, just to see like how fast the NHL is. I mean, tonight wasn't a great example because both teams just had completely checked out, but Seattle did play with some pace. They were in the offensive zone for the majority of the night. They were working the puck around. So I think it was good for Wiebe to see, okay, this is how fast the NHL is. This is how fast I need to make decisions. Those types of things. I think it's only going to benefit him moving into the offseason here. So it's good to just get him in the lineup in general. And I bet you in his 3rd or 4th game, if he does get into that many, he'll look way more comfortable, just like Tyson Gross. Like Gross really struggled in his NHL debut, and he's really started to turn a corner here recently. So I bet you we'll see the same thing with Wiebe.
I like the player. I like the prospect. I like sort of the idea of acquiring him in that deal. And of course, you need to see him in more than one game to really get a sense of who that guy can be. We do have one more super chat. This is from John Cicada, 1999. Say what you want about Theo Fleury's politics. His jersey deserves to be retired for what he did for the Flames organization. This part is funny. It absolutely reeks of elbows up energy. And I think we're just going to leave that part alone. Thanks, John, for the 1999 to the Youth Centers of Calgary. Yeah, I mean, I really go both ways about Theo. And I think they should find a way to crystallize exactly what they plan on doing with all these numbers, 14 included, over the next little while. And, the thing with 14 and the thing with 12, I mean, you could do a 14, you could do a Kent Nielsen and Theo Fleury night. I mean, there's a lot of ways. It's funny. You've sort of had 2 great players who have worn 14 and 2 who have worn 12. You're going to bring Håkan Lube back over. Still the only Swede to score 50 goals in a season. I mean, it's I don't know. They have a decent amount of history. So there we go. That's a look at all of our super chats, and we still got a little bit more time. You can get a few more in. They all benefit the Youth Centers of Calgary. Bobby. On our last show, on our last Afterburner show, it was me and Pike, and we did a little edition of trivia. We did trivia time with Pike, and it was all based on a couple of your tweets. You had posted that about Tyson Gross scoring his first goal and becoming the 67th player to score 1 goal in the NHL with the Flames. And then also becoming the 9th Calgary-born player to score 1 goal as a member of the Calgary Flames. Well, I want to throw it back at you today. And this segment is brought to you by the Derek Newman Group. If you're buying or selling a house, condo, townhome, or duplex in Calgary, use the Derek Newman Group. That is DERRICK. He's got over $100 million in real estate sold, 65 plus 5-star Google reviews, with 90% of his business done through referrals and repeat business. Derek is a stand-up guy, and he will look out for you no matter what. Visit his new website, DerekNewmanGroup.com. That is DERRICK NewmanGroup.com, or call him at 403-619-6661. And Bobby, I've got a new assignment for you today.
Okay.
Hunter Brzustewicz today scored a goal. He scored his second NHL goal as a member of the Calgary Flames. We've already done guys who have scored 1 goal for the Flames. Can you name 3 other players who have scored exactly 2 goals as a member of the Calgary Flames?
Oh, man.
Exactly 2.
Holy hell. I'm going to need some hints here.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. We got a lot. We got 38. You have mentioned one of them in this show in a specific segment about a bad Flames team.
Spencer Fu.
Ding, ding, ding. One of them is one of the 9 players who was born in Calgary and has scored for the Flames.
Oh man, dude, this is hard.
I know.
Give me like a season. Like a year that a guy played.
15, 16.
15, 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Born in Calgary. You can do it. Everybody's screaming this right now.
Born in Calgary. Jeez, I just posted the list. I should probably know this off the top of my head.
Yeah, you should.
Was it Gagliardi?
No. Gagliardi scored
didn't
more
score
than that.
very many.
No, but okay. Yeah, you Mason Raymond in the chat. That's a funny shout. I think he scored like 20. No. Calgary kid, traded from Vancouver.
Oh, Shinkarik.
Hunter Shinkarik, baby.
Hunter Shinkarik. Okay. Yeah.
And here's a couple more. Okay. Really bad trade deadline deal. One of Daryl Sutter's worst deadline deals. This is like a hockey
Chris
trade. Chris Higgins.
Nice. Okay.
Couple active Flames. So not just
Gross. Gross should have 2.
Tyson Gross has 1, but yes, he should have 2. Couple active Flames. Relatively recent arrivals, as you might expect.
Kuznetsov?
No. He's got more.
He's got more. Okay.
Like more recent arrivals.
Okay.
Yeah. Who have the Flames acquired this season, Bobby?
Brennan Othman.
No, he only had the 1. A couple. You're close.
It's not Strome. Mata?
No, not Strome. Oli Mata's got 2 goals and 12 assists, which is crazy.
That's so crazy.
Another recent acquisition, not Zach Whitecloud, the chat. Whitecloud doesn't even have 1 yet. Jux JC just got it. Victor Olofsson has 2 goals. Yeah. I'll list off a couple more. Johnny Beecher also has 2 goals as a member of the Flames, as does Sam Honzik.
In the same game.
In the same game, that's right. Here's more from the list. Akeem Alou, also both in the same game, if you'll recall.
Against Anaheim, I remember that was the last game
one of Pike's guesses. One of Pike's guesses in the 1 goal category from last time.
Wasn't that Kipper's last game?
It was something like that. It was, and the thing with Alou is that neither of the goals went in off his stick. I think they were like both in off his butt or something.
Yeah.
Rafa Diaz, including the sweet one against Dallas that one time. Brad Richardson, including the first goal at UBS Arena.
Yeah.
Jakob Naklotl. There you go. Yeah. That's hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Brandon Prust, somehow, even though he played for the Flames like 3 different occasions, only scored 2 goals as a member of the Flames.
Yeah, I thought he would have had like 4 or 5.
Dennis Gilbert, only 2.
Yeah,
and then these are the big hitters, the guys who have played the most games, only scoring 2 goals. Brett Kulak, and Derek Smith.
Oh, I remember Derek Smith.
Yeah. And Scott Hannon. And that's I mean, there's others. They're all like from the 80s, like Brian Scrudland, and really he's used them in the 90s. But I'm gonna leave this off with our friend Craig Cox. So
wonderful.
Yeah, there we go. That's the whole list. Not
Brett,
quite the whole list.
Brett Kulak's claim to fame is assisting on Jaromir Jagr's only goal, along with Johnny
Yes, he
Gaudreau.
did. Well, and if you'll recall, remember when Louis Eriksson put the puck into his own net?
I do. I think it was Troy Brouwer's first goal.
It was originally credited as Brett Kulak's first NHL goal.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Then they took it away and they gave it to Brouwer. I don't actually know if that was Brouwer's first goal, though, because I think they played in Edmonton a couple days earlier.
You're right. He scored on opening night.
And scored on opening night. But yeah.
That was the first game at Rogers Place, I think.
If you'll recall, if you ever go back and watch the highlights from that game, they got goals from Brouwer and Alex Chesson. If you'll remember how Jim Hughes.
That's a classic Brad Treliving signing right there.
Alex Chesson. Wasn't a signing. They traded Pat Seeloff for him, and then they just let him go. That's a look down memory lane with the Derek Newman group. He's a great guy. And I'm sure if the next time I see Derek, I will ask him to give me a number of Flames who have scored exactly 3 goals for the team. And we will keep going up and up and up and up. Anything else you want to really get into tonight, Bobby? We've gotten to most of it. Let's get into our Bet365 bets for tomorrow.
I'll do some trivia for you at the end of the show. I got a trivia
works for me because we do have to do a unicorn segment. Let's do a Bet365 betting segment. Let's have a look here at tomorrow's game. The Flames not the favorites, Bobby. They're at plus 145. Utah at minus 170. The over under at 5.5. The spread at plus or minus 1.5. And Bobby, what do you think? What are we looking at tomorrow?
Well, it just depends on who's going to be playing for Utah. If they're going to be healthy scratching a bunch of guys, then the Flames might have a chance. But if guys like Keller and Gunther and Cooley and Uyghur and Sergachev they're all in the lineup, then I don't think it's going to end well for this Flames team. Like I mentioned earlier, this Flames team on paper is just truly atrocious. So, like tonight, I don't think they were going to beat anybody in the NHL, even Vancouver. So yeah, I got a feeling they're going to lose tomorrow night. That's just what I'm thinking.
I actually think they're going to win, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. Both these teams on very little rests, coming to the Saddledome for a 6:00 puck drop. Should be a lot of fun. I will be on both the Warmies and the Afterburner, the latter of which with our friend Kent Wilson. And there we go. That's a look at one of the games tomorrow for Bet365. Fans, if you're tired of waiting for the end of the game to get paid, ready to move on to the next puck drop, that's why Bet365, of an official partner of the NHL, has 3-goal early payout. If the team you're riding goes up 3 goals at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out early. Hockey moves fast, and now with 3-goal early payout, there's one less thing you have to wait around for. Bet365, download the app and see what early payout's all about. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. We'll get into the trivia in a sec. People in the chat are still talking about Theo, and it's not truly, folks. I have no comment on any of the politics because we don't talk about that on our shows. We just don't. I will say I have a ton of respect for Theo and the way that he had to deal with just way too much crap during his career, and it was horrible what he had to endure. And I think there are a lot of different ways to look at any given player and any given person, and I have no problem with the Flames having his number be out of circulation. I think there's a lot to be said about it, but honestly, we just don't talk about the political side on this show, and that's just where we're going to leave it. So I have no problem with next year seeing 2 and 25 and 14 and what have you, what other numbers, 13 potentially. And I have a lot of compassion for Theo. Jux JC put it very well on the personal side of things, and I will leave it completely at that. Bobby, you said you have some trivia. Let's get into it here on this Saturday evening.
Who's this trivia brought to you by?
This trivia is brought to you by the Unicorn. Whether you are going to 8th Ave Southwest or 4th Street Southwest, it is Calgary's Super Pub. The 8th Ave Southwest location has 3 floors, 3 bars, 1 destination. It is the sports canteen with all things sports, hockey, football, soccer, UFC, plus games like Golden Tee, Buck Hunter, pinball, darts, and more. With game day, $7 pints of Molson. It is located in the heart of Stephen Avenue, and they got a spot on 4th Street, too. It's a great spot right in the middle of a bunch of business, all sorts of business. You can go across the street, get a Froster, go back to the Unicorn, get another drink. Just go back and forth, Froster, drink, Froster. It's the most advantageous spot there is. Bobby, tell me, what do you got for trivia?
Okay, so I think this one should be pretty easy for the most part, but there's one little challenging bit here. There are 3 players to play games for both the Calgary Flames and Seattle Kraken. Who are they? I think 2 of them are pretty easy, but the last one might be a little bit difficult. Let's see.
Okay, the easy ones are Mark Giordano and Kelly Yarncroke.
Correct.
And the other one, boy,
this guy had a short stint in Calgary.
A short stint in Calgary.
Within the last 6 to 7 years.
Within the last 6 to 7 years. Okay,
yeah.
And he has
played within the last 7 years.
Okay, and he has played for Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me anything else?
He's a depth player. Short.
A depth player. Short. I mean,
in my opinion, should have got way more of an opportunity in Calgary. I thought he got screwed.
Okay, but it's not like Matty Phillips because he only played for Calgary and Pittsburgh and Washington. Briefly played for Calgary, was short.
Signed as a free agent in the 2018 offseason.
In the 2018 offseason. Signed as a free agent from where? Was he like a college guy or
AHL/NHL?
Okay, so they got him. Maybe okay. So he was playing maybe for the Heat. They brought him up. So trying to think of guys from around that vintage.
When they acquired him, he was a tweener in his previous organization.
Oh, I see.
Never played in the AHL for the Flames organization.
Okay, so Flames and Kraken, and he played for the Flames.
Yeah.
It's not Austin Czarnik.
It's Austin Czarnik. Well done.
There we go.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Excellent
that makes sense. I think he did. Did Austin Czarnik never play for Boston?
I think he played a few games.
Maybe a few games. Yeah.
He was mainly in Providence.
Fun guy. Fun player. That 2018-19 season still feels like a fever dream. Like all the big acquisitions all sort of flamed out. Derek Ryan was good. And in spite of all of the disappointment about certain parts of that team, they were really good. And then all of their weaknesses immediately got exposed right away in the playoffs against an Avs team that was, I mean, you look at it, that is sort of the direct comparable for that Flames core. Losing to that Avs team, a direct analog to the Iginla team losing to the Blackhawks right before they start to win. Yeah. The Avs were sort of seen as an also-ran. They were coming up from the real basement, having drafted Makar and Byram, and then they suddenly turn that corner just like that, and wouldn't you know, they become a contender. And
I don't know if I've ever seen a team get skated into the ground as much as the Flames did in the 2019 playoff series. Like it looked like teams in 2 different leagues. The Avs were so fast in that series; it was crazy.
Do you remember who the Flames dressed in James Neal's spot in Game 5 of that playoff series?
Oh, geez. Off the top, was it Czarnik?
Probably Czarnik. Yeah, of course. It was
Czarnik. Okay.
Yeah. What a horrible year. Like you want to talk about bad. Like we talked about Troy Brouwer and how he was a buyout candidate who did get bought out after year 2 when he scored 6 goals. And Brouwer was at least sort of a bottom 6, middle 6 guy for most of his career. Neal scored 7. And that team was good. Like, that team was really good. And he scored 7 goals. And, 3 of them in April. So, like for most of the year, he was sitting in, the low single digits.
Yeah.
And, oh, man. That is
He couldn't handle the puck. No. He literally could not handle the puck. He could not make a pass. He was the worst skater, and even his shot was awful. Like in his time with Calgary, I think he scored 1 goal. I think he scored 1 goal where I thought to myself, "Wow, what a shot!" And it was against Colorado.
Off the Valimaki hit. Of course, I remember that game.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the only time I thought to myself, "This guy looks dangerous." Everything else was like, remember the Pittsburgh goal?
Where he looks like he was trying to cross-check the puck. Yes. And he shoves it, and it flutters in. I was at that game.
Right over top. Yeah. Even I think he scored a couple empty netters. He was a disaster.
Awful.
Literally
scored a goal.
The worst Flame I've ever seen.
Scored a goal late in that season against the Kings where he was named an alternate captain for whatever reason for that game. And he double hit the puck into the net. He shot it, and then it hit the back of his stick and went in. It was one of the weirdest. Yeah, he was awful. You want to talk about
horrific in the playoffs, disgusting in the playoffs. The fact he was making $5.75 million is a crime. An absolute crime. And then it led to us getting Milan Lucic, and then Matthew Tkachuk doesn't sign, and then it's like this whole domino that fell, to get us to this point. It all started when they signed James Neal.
Flames fans who have only started watching the team the last few years, and there are many, do not realize how good they have it in some respects. They don't realize how bad they have it in some respects as well, because they have never seen the Flames be good. But by the same token, there are no James Neals on this team. Like,
thank God.
Smokes. I think that's basically everything for today, Bobby. Really good interactions with the chat today. Really good stuff back and forth here. Anything you really want to talk about? Anything you want to sort of really hone in on in these last 3 games of the season, Bobby? Or are you donezo with this year?
Oh, I'm donezo. This is my last afterburner. I'm checking out on this season. It's over. I'm just gonna be focusing on Gridden, Parekh, Brzustewicz, Suniev, whatever other young players get in the games. I'll just be watching them. That's literally all I care about at this point.
I am right there with you, but we got 3 left still to do. And wouldn't you know, Bobby, I'm on all 3 warmies and all 3 afterburners. So
wonderful.
We still have lots left to talk about on these shows. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all to our sponsors, Bet365, the Youth Centers of Calgary, Prairie Toyota Dealers, Derek Newman Group, The Unicorn, and GMC. Thank you to everybody in the chat for all the super chats and for all the regular chats and for all of the what have yous that have been going on down there. And Bobby, appreciate you as always. And producer Yasmin, appreciate you as always. My name is Mike Gould, folks. The Flames lose 4-1 to the Seattle Kraken on this Saturday, April the 11th. And they remain in pole position to finish in 30th place in the NHL standings. Thank y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been another edition of the Afterburner.